In a small provincial town, there was a zoo managed by a selfish and ambitious director. He cared less about the animals and more about his own promotion. Because of his poor leadership, the zoo was full of odd problems. The giraffe was unimpressive, the badger had no proper burrow, and even the birds seemed to whistle without enthusiasm. One major attraction was also missing: the elephant. The people, especially school children, expected the zoo to have such an important animal. So, when the zoo finally received official notice that it would be given an elephant for the national celebration on June 22nd, the workers were delighted. They thought the zoo would finally become complete. But instead of accepting the real elephant, the director shocked everyone by rejecting the offer and proposing a cheaper, more practical idea.
The director wrote to the authorities saying that he wanted to save money for the good of the country. Rather than bringing in a real elephant, he suggested making one out of rubber, filling it with air and putting it behind railings so visitors would think it was alive. He argued that elephants were slow and lazy animals anyway, so no one would notice the difference. The money saved, he claimed, could be used for more useful national projects. Unfortunately, the officials approved his foolish plan without thinking carefully. The director, proud of his own cleverness, ordered the two zookeepers to secretly prepare the rubber elephant during the night. He wanted everything finished before morning because the townspeople were already excited to see the new animal, and he also hoped his economical solution would earn him praise and a reward.
That night, the two tired keepers locked themselves in a shed and began trying to blow air into the giant rubber elephant. It was slow, exhausting work, and after hours of effort, the shape on the floor still looked nothing like an elephant. They became frustrated and joked bitterly about how ridiculous their task was. They were older men, not used to such labor, and they knew they would never finish before sunrise if they continued that way. Then one of them noticed a gas pipe in the shed and suggested filling the elephant with the gas instead of blowing into it themselves. It seemed like a brilliant shortcut. They connected the rubber body to the pipe, turned on the gas, and within minutes a huge elephant stood before them. It looked impressive, lifelike, and even grander than expected. Satisfied with their work, the keepers went home to rest.
The next morning, the rubber elephant was placed in a special enclosure near the monkey cage with a sign saying that it was particularly sluggish and hardly moved. Soon after, a school group arrived with their teacher, who planned to give a lesson about elephants. The children stared at the enormous creature in wonder, while the teacher explained that the elephant was a plant-eating mammal descended from the mammoth and then the largest land animal on the earth. The students listened carefully and even took notes. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, but while the teacher proudly described the elephant's great weight and strength, the wind began to blow. Suddenly, the elephant trembled, lifted gently off the ground, and started floating upward. In moments, it rose above the zoo, passed over the fence, and drifted away through the sky, leaving everyone speechless.
The sight was so unbelievable that the children could hardly understand what had happened. The giant elephant, which was supposed to inspire learning and admiration, had turned out to be nothing more than a rubber shell filled with gas. Later, it was found in the nearby botanical garden, where it had fallen onto a cactus and burst. The false elephant became a symbol of deception, carelessness, and the foolishness of those in charge. Worst of all, the children who saw the event were deeply affected. After witnessing such an absurd lie, they lost trust in what adults taught them. It was said that they became unruly, neglected their studies, and behaved badly. Most importantly, they no longer believed in elephants. In this humorous but sharp story, Mrozek shows how dishonesty and empty appearances can damage not only institutions but also the minds of the young.